Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening. So, if you have not been informed or if you are not aware that even in online dating, in the dating world, singlehood, people who are wanting to just go out on a date or meet someone and possibly have a relationship, there is a such thing called sexual racism that is online. It's all over the place, of course, and now in this day and time, the way things are going, it's probably even more prevalent in the dating world online because we're, in an age where people are not necessarily going out and meeting people on, you know, face to face dates in the beginning. They usually go online to meet one another and they talk for a while. And if they have some similar things in common, then they make a date. So I saw on NP discrimination plays out in online dating. And I already kind of had a clue that this is why. I will say this: a lot of attractive Black women are single because online dating is very difficult. And automatically, you're stereotyped before you even get to meet the person when they find out who you are. If you're honest and you say who you are, what your cultural or nationality, your background is, already some people will discriminate you based on that alone without even having getting to know who you are. And so some people already have it fixed in their mind what they're attracted to and what they assume to be more desirable in terms of dating. So in 2014, a user data on OkCupid, which is a popular dating site, showed that most men on the site rated Black women as less attractive than women of other races and ethnicities. So that resonated with Ari Curtis, who's 28 years old, and inspired her blog. So she did a blog called Least Desirable. Okay, so it goes on to say that I don't date Asians. Sorry, not sorry. You're cute for an Asian. I usually like bears, but no panda bears. These were the types of messages that Jason, a 29-year-old and Los Angeles resident, remembers receiving on very different dating apps and websites when he logged on in his search for love 7 years ago. So he has since deleted the messages and apps. It is really disheartening, he says. It really hurt my self-esteem. So I guess this is a person that, a lot of, he got a lot of criticism based on just race alone, and they didn't even get to know who he was. So this is his experience. So Jason is earning his doctorate with a goal of helping people with mental health needs. NPR is not using his last name to protect his privacy and that of the client that he works with in his internship. So this guy, I know some people might have some issues with it, but he's a gay man. He's Filipino, and he says that he felt like he had no choice but to deal with the rejections based on his ethnicity alone as he pursued a relationship. So it was hurtful at first, but I started to think that I have a choice. Would I rather be alone, or should I face racism head on? So he tried to meet someone on, of course, a gay dating app, and already they even I did a video that even in the gay world there is racism. So this is a perfect example. So Jason, a 29-year-old and Los Angeles resident, says he's received racist messages on different dating apps and websites in his quest for finding love. So Jason says that he faced it, and thought about it quite a bit. And so he wasn't surprised when he read a blog from OkCupid co-founder Christian Rudder, 2014, about race and attraction. So Rudder wrote, this is a co-founder of the OkCupid. And OkCupid, by the way, is not a gay only dating site. You could be straight, you could be from any background. You choose who you're wanting to get involved with. So Rudder wrote that the user's data showed that most men on his site rated Black women as less attractive than women of other races and ethnicities. So similarly, Asian men fell at the bottom of the preference list for most women. So while the data focused on straight users, Jason says that he could relate to this. So when I read that, I was sort of like, duh, he says. It was like an unfulfilled validation, if that makes any sense. So basically what he's saying is what I've always thought, that a lot of times people will, even in the Black community, they'll say, oh, there's a lot of single attractive Black women, but a lot of them, there's a couple of reasons, more than one, more than two, more than three. So some people want to be single, okay, for a while. Maybe they've come from out of a relationship and they want time to breathe. Maybe they come from a bad relationship and they want to be alone for a while. Maybe they've been in several relationships that hadn't worked out and they want to be alone. So it's nothing wrong with that. There are some women who are gay. There are some women who are bisexual. There are some women who maybe they're straight and they've been in relationships and those relationships haven't been favorable and they're waiting for the right person to come along. There have been women who they have kids and they're discriminated because they have kids, or they're discriminated because they're Black, or they're discriminated because they don't have Harvard college degree, or, sometimes very specific reasons, reasons you wouldn't believe, but they do exist in this world of online dating and just in the minds of people. Maybe the neighborhood you grew up in, even though that woman, maybe she grew up in a neighborhood that wasn't favorable, or, she decided to go on and become something really decent in life. She might hold down a job, she might have went to college, but because she came from a neighborhood that wasn't the greatest neighborhood, she's discriminated based on that. Maybe because she doesn't weigh a number of pounds. Some men will be really hard on women. Oh, if she weighs over, if she weighs over a certain amount of pounds, I don't want her. She could be college educated. She could be somebody that, maybe she doesn't have any kids. She doesn't have any hangups or no major hangups. But because she weighs a certain amount of pounds, she can't find a date. There's stuff that you wouldn't believe, that criterions and laundry list of requirements that some guys will have on women. And it's so bad that's why some women will prefer to stay single. And it's not always, a lot of times too, when you have a man that's always accusing a woman of stuff, watch that. Because I actually work with somebody who everything is the woman's fault. Well, she did this and she did that. And what I did notice in observing this individual, everything has to be lined up a certain way. He's a control freak, basically, is what I picked up on. And so he's got an issue with control. And so doesn't have any kids, but I fear that his issues are control. He's gone through a slew of women, and each one of them end up dumping him after a certain period of time. But it always seems, instead of him looking at himself, it's always the women. And then they go on to get other relationships, or he thinks they're after him. And so it could be a number of things. And two, I picked up on the womanizing. He's into womanizing. He can't stand it if a woman is not running, chasing him. So it's always the woman is chasing him. And so he feeds off of that. And so he tries to act like he's really kind and everything, but here's another side to him altogether, and I can pick up on that real easy. That it's womanizing and controlling and dominating to the point to where it's unattractive, and it's a turn off, and it could be volatile as well. He could get violent. He has that inside of him. It's in there, and so I could see him being aggressively, what do you call, dangerous towards women because of the attitude. I could sense that in this individual, but it doesn't come out until they get in a relationship with someone. And so this is a good example here as to, a lot of reasons why some people will say, oh, it's the other person's fault, but they never see the flaws in them that may be turning these women away. And so this guy, he's talking about his experience in the gay world has to do with racism, and racism is a big factor as well. And so in 2014, OkCupid data resonated so much so that 28-year-old Ari Curtis said that she used it as a basis for her blog called The Least Desirable. And so this is for Black women. So my goal, she wrote, is to share stories at what it means to be a minority, and not in the abstract, but in an awkward, exhilarating, exhausting, devastating, occasionally amusing reality that is the pursuit of love. And so this is a young lady here. And so she created a blog behind all of the stigma around dating online, and race being the catalyst as to why most Black women are by themselves, and most people, even if they aren't Black, find it hard to get in relationships because of their nationality or their background, simply maybe the way their name sounds. It could be a number of things. So my goal, Curtis wrote in her blog, is to share stories of what it means to be a minority, and not in the abstract, but in an awkward, exhilarating, exhausting, devastating, and occasionally amusing reality that is the pursuit of love. So Curtis works in marketing in New York City, and she says that although she loves how open-minded most people are in the city, she didn't always find that equality in dates she started meeting online. So she didn't find that online, of course, which I hear you, sister. So anyway, after drinks at the Brooklyn bar, one of her more recent OkCupid matches, a white Jewish man, offered this. He was like, oh yeah, my family would never approve of you. Curtis explains, yeah, because I'm Black. Curtis describes meeting another white man on Tinder who brought the weight of damaging racial stereotypes to their date. So he was like, oh, so we have to bring the hood out of you and bring the ghetto out of you, Curtis recounts. So these are statements that she's had come at her when she's wound up meeting these guys off of Tinder or OkCupid and certain dating sites. And so it's not really necessarily the dating site, it's the people. So some people will argue, oh, it's the sites that she's going to. She needs to try different sites. One site is like many other sites, trust me. So it made me feel like I wasn't enough, and who I am wasn't what he expected, and that he wanted me to be somebody else based on the race. And so why might our dating preferences feel racist to others? So on other dating experts will have pointed out to such stereotypes the lack of multicultural representation in the media as part of likely reasons that plenty of online daters have the discouraging experiences based on race. So Melissa Hobley, OkCupid's chief marketing staff, says that the site has learned from social scientists about other reasons that people's dating preferences come off as racist, including the fact that they often reflect IRL in real life and norms. So when it comes to attraction, familiarity and the really is a really big piece, so Hobley says. So people tend to be often attracted to people that they are familiar with. So, and in a segregated society, that can be harder in certain areas than in others. And so Curtis says that she relates to that idea because she has had to come to terms with her own biases. So, after growing up in mostly a white town in Fort Collins, Colorado, she says she exclusively dated white men only until she moved to New York. So, I feel like there is room, honestly, to say that I have a preference for somebody who looks like this. And if that person happens to be of a certain race, it's hard to blame somebody for that, Curtis says. But on the other hand, you have to wonder if racism weren't so ingrained in our culture, would they have chosen or would they have those preferences? So Hobley says that the site made changes over the years to encourage users to focus less on potential mates' demographics and appearance and more on what she calls the psychographics. Okay, so psychographics are things like what you're interested in and what moves you and what your passions are in life, like basic human stuff, and things that really tell stories about who the person is rather than their race and what have you and who they are. And that's what you would hope you would get out of a relationship, but a lot of people don't approach it that way. And this is me adding that in there. She also points to a recent study in the international researchers that found that a rise of interracial marriages in the US have happened over the past 20 years has coincided with the rise of online dating, of course. If the apps can actually play a role in groups and people getting together who otherwise might not, that's really, really exciting, Hobley says. So that's the upside of it, that in fact, some people from different backgrounds are able to actually meet online, as is if there wasn't that opportunity, they might not have met otherwise. So everyone deserves love. Curtis says that she is still conflicted about her own preferences and whether she'll continue to use the dating app. For now, her strategy is to keep a usual or a casual attitude about her romantic life. So if I don't take it seriously, then I don't have to be disappointed when it doesn't go well, she says. So Jason is out of the dating game entirely because he ended up finding a current partner who is white, and on the app he's been on there for about 2 years, so he credits part of his success with the bold statement about his value in his profile. So he was able to, you're able to write some moving statements about yourself so that that person can read it. If they become attracted to what it is that you're saying, it's sort of like having a mission statement about yourself. If that person finds that pleasing to the ear, or maybe it's kind of giving them an eye opener as to who you are somewhat, and they find that a plus, then that might open up the door for you to meet someone who's serious. So I had something like that, really obnoxious looking back on it now, he says with a laugh. I think of one of the first lines that I said, like, social justice warriors to the front of the line, please. So he says, weeding out the racist messages, he received a result that was hard, but worth it. And so everyone deserves love and kindness and support, he says, and pushing through and holding that close to yourself is, I think, actually always or also what kept me in the online dating realm. So he stayed on and pursued what he wanted to pursue, despite the racism that he was met with online. So just knowing that I deserve this, and if I am lucky enough, it will happen. And it did. So it did for him, as he's reporting, but it may not be so simple for others. So this is the first person named Jason, and this is the other person named Ari. Ari Curtis. And so she actually did a blog on her experience, because they're always talking about Black women are single, Black women need a man, Black women this, Black women that. And so there's a lot of different things other than just Black women needing a guy. So, there's women who choose to be single, They might have been married and they're divorced. Maybe they've been through some relationships. Just because she looks like she's not with anyone doesn't mean she didn't have a past. She probably had a relationship and it didn't work out, or maybe she comes from like Ari's situation. She grew up in a place where most of the men that she's been around are white. So she happens to date white guys, or she likes to date white guys. But we get a lot of scrutiny online, Black women, for dating white guys because that's not the thing to do, right? That's what they claim. But they seem to not, they, as in Black men, seem to not have a problem discriminating their own race of women and finding white women, Asian women, and then Hispanic women more desirable than Black women who actually helped to bring them in this world. So that's a whole nother video altogether in and of itself. But what I'm saying is by me saying that, these are just some examples as to why some people may not be with someone. It may not be that they're not wanting to be with someone. They might have already been with someone and they're out of that relationship, or they're looking for someone, but they're looking for someone that suits their personality or the kinship that they're looking for in terms of, uniting together as a couple, being as one, yoked, equally yoked, I guess is one. You don't want to be with somebody who they're always looking the other way, or they're looking to sleep with different partners. There's different things now going on too. Now, what I had observed, and this is my own opinion, there's a lot of new things that are going on in online dating. There's a lot of new concepts that people don't even realize. I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and I mentioned to a person about polyamory. And I actually looked it up, and it's like polygamy. She said, it's like polygamy. I said, yes, it is. It's very similar to that. And so if you look up polyamory, you'll find people that they may be straight, they're not gay, but they like to have multiple partners. And it's almost sliding in the realm of being a swinger. And so what if, supposing a Black woman, she runs into a guy like that? She wants a monogamous relationship. He wants to be the swinger. She doesn't want that. So now she's by herself. So she doesn't want that. And it could be a number of reasons. She's not a swinger. Maybe she doesn't want to open herself up to the possibility of contracting some type of fatal disease or a disease, period. It could be a number of things. Some guys won't tell you that they're a swinger, and they're a swinger. And some women won't tell you what they're doing. If they desire to be that way, because I did see where there were some women that were involved in that lifestyle of polyamory, and you'll have some videos on YouTube where people are involved in that, and there's a circle of people who sleep with one another. And a lot of times, if they know that you don't want that lifestyle, some people won't even tell you that they're doing that. And then they get involved with you in a relationship. They say, oh, this is just between you and I. I didn't know that you were going to get this mad because I was with Sally or I was with Jim, stuff like that. And so people do stuff like this, and they don't tell you that they're involved in those type of relationships. You don't find out until after the fact, after you've gotten hurt. And then you realize, oh my God, this person, it likes to sleep around with Sally, Jim, Bob, Jack, Sue, Betty, everybody, So who wants to be in a relationship? Some people might not be, as upset over that, and others might find that very upsetting that this person wants to be with more than one individual, and then it doesn't want to be monogamous in a one-on-one relationship. So there's a lot of different things going on. Actually, it was already happening. It's just more, I feel like people are more emboldened now to come out and say who they are. But some people will still lie. They won't tell you stuff. And then some people, like an experience I had where this guy, he straight up told me, I'm married. and he said it like this was supposed to be exciting. And I was thinking to myself, and he's not the only one. There's been others. I guess it's the thing to do. Some guys think women are attracted to men that are already married. There may be some women who are like that, but that's not everybody. And so then you'll find that woman is going to be single again because she doesn't want to be with somebody who's married. That throws everything out the window. And so those are some examples. I'm just giving you some small examples, as that's why some women are by themselves. It's not because, oh, they hate men and all this kind of stuff. A lot of times they are going on blind dates and everything. It's what these guys are coming at you with. It's not like before. They're coming at you with, oh, I got a wife. Some of them straight out tell you, I got a wife. And so this comes right at you at the beginning. Some of them will come out and just say that. They think this is what you want. And so people don't realize that this is what is going on. This is the times we're living in where people don't even give a shit. They don't care anymore, and then you got AIDS is still a factor, even though the medicine is advanced, but who wants that? Who's signing up, checking that box? Oh, I don't mind getting this guy. If he has AIDS, blah, 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 I don't give a fuck. I just want to be with somebody. No way. Nobody's trying to do that. So it's like, maybe some people don't give a shit out there and they don't care about their life, but I'm one that does. So I'm not just going to get with somebody just because it's the thing to do or to look like you are with somebody and now you contract something. And it costs a whole lot of money so that you can stay living. No way. There's no way in hell. So that might be another reason why you find more people that are single, because there's so many games going on. And then when you get online, people are not who they say they are. The photos don't look like them, or maybe it was a photo of them from years ago. Then when you meet them, they don't look nothing like those photos. Nothing like what they post online. You meet, I don't know what, or they borrowed their friend's photo or something like that. And so sometimes first impressions do make a difference. And it may not be a race thing. It could be just the fact the person doesn't tell the truth. They lie out of their teeth, so, they say all this good shit that you want to hear. Then when you meet them, they look nothing like what you saw in the post. And you're like, no way, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And then sometimes people, they're looking for somebody to lay up on. That is a big problem. And sometimes you'll find a woman, like this woman says that she works in marketing. She's got a good job. Okay, so the woman's working and everything. Okay, what if she finds this guy, he's found some way to use his buddy's account or either make his account on his friend's computer, and he says all this good stuff about himself. Come to find out, he's a lazy bone. He won't work. He doesn't do anything. He's waiting for a woman to take care of him. There's those out there. So the woman's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do this. And then he come to find out he could be violent. He could be a murderer. He could be a stalker. There's so much stuff online to worry about outside of just the race thing in and of itself. So this might be some of this is a few of the reasons why some people decide that, you know what, I'm going to be single a little longer until I figure out what's going on and who's for real, who's serious out there. Because a lot of people are not serious, and you have to weed out the ones that are. And so it may take a while before you do find somebody that has something in common with you. And in the gay world, which a lot of people don't want, I don't want to hear about gay people, but it's not easy for them either if they got racism to deal with as well. This guy, he just explained to you, he's Filipino. He says that he was discriminated against because of his race, because of who he is, and so he couldn't find a date for a while until it took some time, some doing. And so it's just stuff like that people don't realize that it's a different playing field altogether in the world of dating. Now we got online, social media, and then you got people that'll do revenge porn, stuff like that. Stick your Photoshop, paste and cut, stick your head. They're mad at you because you turned them down. Now they stick your head on a body of somebody nude, and it's all over the net. And so do you feel like you want to go back and date a person that does stuff like that? No. So these are the kind of things that people are faced with. There's a whole bunch of it's a new world out there. It's a whole lot of shit going on now that probably wasn't happening before online dating came into effect. And so now you got people dating based on who you vote for politically. And so we got the Trump dating site, so if you don't date for Trump, they don't want to be bothered with you. So it's stuff like that. And so let's be real here, people. It's not, don't just put it on the woman and be like, oh, it's because the women don't like me. No, there's a bunch of shit going on out there that cause people to want to stay to themselves. So let's be real here. And it's not just women, it's men too. It's just like, oh, I didn't know this shit was going on. That women are doing stuff. There's some stuff that women are doing now, that is kind of strange. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I didn't know she was into this. She's polyamory. Who's he? Who's this one? Who's that? Stuff like that, or living on a camp, living in the woods or whatever. You don't know what they're involved with nowadays. And so that's why things are a lot different. It is a whole nother world out there. I just wanted to put that out there because, all this stuff, that people put out, well, this is why she can't find my, no, and you don't know what people are looking for. Some people are looking for some crazy stuff now. And so it makes you, even like people of my age in their 40s and 50s and all that, it makes you like, you know what, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait, or I'll just be by myself, because you're afraid, because it's so many wackos out there. And you have to weed through all of those people. And then the beliefs, sometimes it's people's beliefs, stuff they believe in, totally oblivious to what's going on. These people are putting these things out. Black women ain't shit. Black women, if you didn't realize, this is the online dating world. It is a war out there. I mean, there's so much shit going on. It's like even beyond just the gender thing. It's like so much stuff going on. And then people lie about who they were. Maybe they were born one way, and then you gotta learn their story and find out who they are. Maybe you're not interested in that kind of lifestyle. Maybe you want that person to be who they are. So there's so many things going on that people are unaware of. There are people who maybe they were born a woman and now they've changed themselves over to be a man, or they were born a man and they changed themselves over to be a woman. And, sometimes some people can get away with that because maybe they had, from what I recall, is that there are situations like that where people were born with two anatomies and they have to decide which one they feel they're more like, because of chromosomes. That has happened to people. But what bothers me is when you get people who they didn't have that issue at birth. They were who they are, but later in life, they decide they want to go under the knife. They want to change and they want to do all this stuff. Okay. Some people can do that. That's fine. It works but it doesn't work for everybody, of course. And then too, you got people who they can afford to get a lot of fancy schmancy stuff done on them that others can't. So some can pull stuff off that others can't. They could look a certain way and be attractive. Not every man that changes himself over to a woman looks attractive. I'm just saying, not every woman that changes herself over to be a male looks like she can actually pull that off. Some can, because they might have been, something could have happened at birth. Some can do that, and then maybe that's just who they are. I'm not knocking that to say that that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that some people, it's obvious that this person is trying to pull off something that isn't working for them. And so when they post these things online, and if you're not into that and you're not aware, it comes off as a very like deceiving. And so it bothers people. And so it makes you fearful about going online because you don't know what you're going to get. And so too, you have people, they might have a history of being violent in relationships. Maybe that's why they're alone. Maybe they had relationships, but they ran everybody away, for whatever the reason. So this is the stuff that's going on. And so those are other reasons why people are probably single, or they've been ostracized because they're simply gay. and they don't know how to, meet people. And so they're forcing themselves to meet the opposite sex when they're really attracted to the same sex. There's a lot of stuff going on. So you don't want to get online and say, oh, it's just one person's fault as to why they're not meeting. Oh, it's because this woman doesn't do this and doesn't do that and all this kind of stuff. And then people don't want to be with you because of your weight. You'd be surprised. Sometimes it could be things that aren't even that trivial. It could be like stuff that you could change if you decide you want to change it. But they put so much emphasis on you being a certain or particular way, that they won't even give you the time of day. They don't even want to hear what you got to say because you weigh X amount of pounds. Of course, some people don't find it attractive when they see somebody that looks like they might be, grossly obese. But what I'm saying is some people maybe just bigger people or heavier or slightly heavier on the heavier side, but they may be very attractive. But because they're on the heavier side, now they can't find a date because that person is being so strict about who they want to date. You have to be 2 pounds before they can date you. Stuff like that. That's unrealistic stuff. I've seen some of those comments that some guys have made online. Then this one is a famous one that used to be said, I don't want somebody with baggage. Let me tell you something. If you're with somebody that's past the age of 30, you're going to get some kind of baggage somewhere because they had a life before they met you. So it's unrealistic. And if they're past the age of 35, 40 something, yes, they probably got kids. They had a relationship. You're not the only one. I'm sorry to say they had a life before they met you. So you have to consider all of that. And people can be very selfish. You find some people are selfish. Everything is about them. And so if you have kids, that means your attention is on your kids. But if it's going to be on your kids and not them, they won't date you. You pay too much attention to the kids. I don't want to be bothered with you anymore. The kids are still little. What are you supposed to do? And so this is the kind of stuff that women are faced with. And people don't realize there's a bunch of things going on nowadays. I'm just kind of like merely like expressing some of the different scenarios that people go through that people are not mentioning. They're so busy to point the finger at individuals to say, oh, this is why this person's by themselves. But a lot of this, it may not necessarily be just race alone. But race does play a big factor in it, especially in what age we're in now, what, this administration, this Trump thing. So a lot of people are like obsessed on, what people look like, I can't say that I haven't, seen some crazy stuff out there, and it does rile you up. And so it gets you to thinking, that maybe that's the reason why so-and-so wouldn't date me because I'm Black. It's not because of what I know or don't know. It's simply because I'm Black, or whatever. And so you get Black men who won't date a Black woman because she's Black. They want to be with somebody that is something else because they think they're missing out on something. And then the crazy part about this is that I've heard that women who, let's say what I've noticed with white females is when they get upset about something, it tends to look as like a floor show. They'll take you to court. They want more than half. They want the kids, the house, the car. They posted stuff is all in the paper about you. I have not really seen that, like the thing that happened with Mary J. Blige. She divorced, and that situation was really sad. But I have not seen her put in the paper, well, he's the son of a bitch, he's an asshole, stuff like that. Put all a bunch of stuff in the paper and all that stuff. But white women seems like they tend to, like, when they're angry, they tend to go all the way out to prove to you that you can't get away with shit. And so I've noticed that Black men don't get upset. Certain ones, they'll be like, well, Black women ain't shit. Black women this and that. And I'm like, you know what? You get with white women and they post all your stuff in the paper. They threaten to take this. It's all up there, and they get supported by their own community, and you get ostracized. But when it's us, if we, have a bad relationship, we split up, we leave it at that. That's it. That's it. You bitch about having to pay child support when it probably never would have happened had the relationship been mutual, or we had agreed to disagree and went our separate ways and worked it out outside of court. And so this is the kind of stuff that I've seen happen, and I'm thinking, this is crazy. So some people, based on other people's relationships too, they see that craziness, and that'll cause them to be like, I'm not going to get involved with it. It turns you off. You see the circus going on. And so it's all in media, these crazy messed up relations, the thing that happened with Jill Scott, the things that happen with other people's relationships we're seeing, and it's like some people don't want to be bothered with all of that. And they just want to be simple, let's let it be simple. Agree to disagree. Let's not have all the floor show and the media circus and what have you. And then you have these women, they think they're the bomb, because they're ambiguous, or they look, oh, I've got a little black in me or whatever. And so they parade around these black guys, but let you mess up in a relationship with them, boy, see what you're going to get. You are going to get the business. You're going to get the business. It's like the whole family comes after you. You know who I'm talking about, the Kardashians. They do this kind of stuff. You mess up with one of them, it's like it's all in media. They're ready to revenge porn and everything. I mean, anything they can get up on you, you do not want to go there with them. So it's like, and so it's kind of like, I don't really feel the sorriness of when these guys get involved with those type of females like that, because I guess they were searching for something, thinking, oh, well, it'll be good on this side of the grass, greener over here, and I'm gonna leave this black woman alone because she's trouble. But you kind of find out that most of your troubles come from the other side of the coin. It's not the black woman doing it. She's not trying to post all your business up there. I'm not saying that isn't possible. You won't find a woman that will do that. But most of the times, what I've been seeing, it seems like in white women, when you piss them off, you're on candid camera and they got all your shit out there. And I'm just looking, I'm like, I mean, they tend to drag it all the way, knock down, drag out battle in court. It's all in the Inquirer. It's everywhere. It's like, it's crazy. It's like, who wants that? So some people, when they see that craziness, that might cause them to just decide, you know what, I'm just going to date, stick with something safe, because I don't want to get involved, wrapped up in all of that. And so there's a number of reasons. It's not just that. Sometimes people, they find it easier than getting wrapped up with somebody who has a lot of drama going on. Maybe it's that person that's they're full of drama, And so it could be over a number of things. In-law, it could be money. But this right here is saying that before you even meet the person, there's discrimination online, and it is prevalent. And I will say this, you will find it online. It is hard to meet people, and a lot of times people have preferences. They figure, oh, I'm not gonna date. I'm not gonna date the black people. I'm gonna date somebody that isn't black and all that. And so, I think as a person of color, that's probably one of the first things that make it hard for people to get in a relationship is your race. And when they find out you're black, they kind of, they're expecting to see something, or they're surprised if they don't see something, or it's always something centered around who you are, in terms of your nationality. And those are people who hadn't had exposure. They've lived a segregated life. And so sometimes, even though segregation is supposed to be not the thing, people live their lives segregated, where they don't get out and meet people of different backgrounds. And so that also breeds a lot of stereotypes as well when they don't meet other people of different backgrounds and they don't even consider dating people from other backgrounds. And so that's the reason why and also not only that, when you've seen some of the bad things that have happened throughout, the American culture, it causes you to have doubts in people because of what you heard and stereotypes. So it makes you think, this person really going to be with me because they want to be with me, or they're just testing, they're experimenting because they've never been with a Black woman or they've never been with whoever you are, So a lot of times that will keep people from wanting to get out and meet people because they fear that they're going to be used and are sexualized. So there's a thing called sexual racism where people will look at you and they already assume things because of stereotypes that you're going to perform well in bed, or you're going to be this way or that way, or you're, whatever, you know you're sexualized. So there's a lot of things that go on with that also. So I find that to be a problem with Black women, in terms of meeting people that, even Black males will sexualize you. Like if they assume that like if you don't have sex with them at a certain point, they don't want to date you anymore. It's waiting too long. If because that's all they really wanted, then a lot of times they come out and say it, and then some won't. They'll wait, and then if you never do, then they move on to the next because that's really all they wanted. They wanted just a sexual relationship. That should not have to be forced on somebody. That person, they're two consenting adults. That should be something they agreed upon because they came to that point where they are ready to bond like that. And so anyway, um, with that being said, this right here was in the NPR, and it's fairly recent. It was put out January 9th, 2018, and it's by an Ashley Brown, I believe. It's a morning edition. So it's called Least Desirable. So this is some of the reasons why some people find it hard to get in relationships. It's just sort of like an eye opener, but some people already might have known that. Now I do know some people who have went online and have found successful relationships, interracial relationships, preferably. And I think maybe because, sometimes even people of your own background can judge you harder than people who aren't of your own background. And I saw that as well, where, some Black males won't date Black females because they already have preconceived notions that, oh, she didn't go to school, or she went to school, she thinks she's, knows everything, or she's too independent. They don't like to see you working and paying your bills. That is crazy. Some people are like that. They want you to be dependent on them. Something's wrong with that. If you find somebody like that, run. That's my opinion, because they're trying to control that's another sign of wanting to be overly dominant and controlling to the point to where you can't even have a life of your own. you know um so with that being said, this article is just an eye opener. There's so much stuff going on online. Even if you go on Facebook, they have so many different classifications for what people are interested in. It'll spin your head, your eyelashes, everything. And you'll be shocked to find that there's stuff about people that you wouldn't even believe that are in the equation in the dating world now. And so I think people haven't really researched all those avenues. It used to be simple when, like in the 80s, 90s, it seemed like, you meet somebody, you like them, you have a relationship, blah, blah, blah. People, like simple as black and white. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now that we have online dating and all this stuff going on, and in there, it's also a breeding ground for bad people to exploit people, and then to put people in a position that's vicarious where they appear to be innocent, and they could be a rapist, they could be a murderer, like I said, they could be a criminal, they could be a stalker. It's a breeding ground also. So you have to go on these dating apps and these sites and use lots of precaution and be able to really take your time to weed out individuals and find them out, for who they really are, because it's easy for people to make a profile and lie about themselves and assume that these things are true, but you have to assume that they're not true until you actually really get to know that individual, or something, some real true facts that that person is really, who they say they are. It's very dangerous. And as a woman, it's very dangerous. You're afraid, because you don't want to be taken advantage of. You don't want to be set up. Somebody could say, well, let's meet so and so and so and so at this address. You could be sitting there, and next thing you know, they could hit you upside the head and then never see you again. I know that seems extreme, but these are the things that women worry about. So that might be the reasons, guys, let up on us. That might be the reasons why you find some of us don't want to go out and meet people, because of the fear of what's out there. There's so many crazy things going on out, nowadays, that people are afraid. They don't want to get hurt, from all of this. And so those are some real issues. Nobody's going to meet somebody they've never even seen before, or they don't even know if that really is you in the photo. You give them an address and then they show up and then they get hurt or killed, or, whatever. You could be leading them somewhere. They meet you on the first date. They don't know that's a stalker. The person's following them home, wants to follow you in your apartment. A first date is not an invitation to sleep with someone. Some people, apparently, they find that an invitation to, I paid for your dinner, so now it's time for you to pay me back. Some people are like that. And so these are the reasons why you'll find some people just really want to take their time before they meet individuals. So with that being said, thanks for listening, and like, subscribe, comment. And there are a lot of reasons other than just race. There are a lot of reasons why people will not, be so quick to run into people until they get a full background on who that individual is, because there is a lot of stuff going on nowadays. Supposing, for example, maybe you're a straight person and you're not gay. You see an ad on there and the person says that they're a man and they're not a man. I'm just saying this, unless you're a person that that's what you want. But if that's not what you want and the person lied to you, then, there it is. But those are just some reasons. Those are just a few reasons. I'm not saying those are the only, those are just a few as to why some people choose to wait, wait, and now I will add this before I go, is that I don't know if people realize this, but it used to be you used to get a felony if you had HIV and you knowingly had it and you gave it to your sexual partner. You could be, up for charges with a felony. It's like giving somebody a death sentence. Well, now, because medicine is advanced and people are living longer and they can live a long life with HIV and it never actually become AIDS because of that and because of these new medicines. Well, guess what, ladies? Guess what, men? HIV, if a person knows they have it, they don't necessarily have to disclose that information to you anymore. And if they don't, and they happen to give it to you, they won't get a felony, and they may not even get jail time. It'll be a misdemeanor. And that's as little as they get because of the new modern day advances in medicine. So that's something to consider. And so thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for listening.